So we have A here, negative 15, and then 4. All right? So if we have negative 15 and then 4, between the two numbers, which one is greater or less than? Okay? So remember, this is greater than. Okay? And then we have also less than, right? So we have the less than symbol. Okay? Those are the two symbols that we're going to use in these cases. So let's go for it. So we have, for A, negative 15 and 4. So for those two numbers, which one is higher or less than? Okay, so we writing it from the left. So negative 15, which is a negative number, is definitely going to be what? Less than 4. All right? So negative 15 is less than 4. That makes sense. Now, let's go for B here. Negative 8, negative 3. So for negative 8 and negative 3, which one is what? So for negative numbers, you want to know something. So imagine these were positives, correct? So if these two numbers were positive, so we know automatically 8 is greater than 3, right? 8 is greater than 3, but we are not in that case. So we have negative here, negative here. And then for negative numbers, one thing that you guys need to know as a tip is that the larger the number is for negative, the smaller it becomes in quantity. Okay? So that means negative 8, because 8 is larger than 3, and then it carries a negative sign, that means it's going to be less than negative 3. Okay? So let's take the number line, negative, positive. So you have 0 here, right? So if you have negatives here to the left, so that's negative 8. So let's say we have 5 here, we have 8 here, okay? Let's say we have negative 3 here, because remember, as you go into the left, you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. So as you go into the left, the larger the number is, the smaller it becomes in amount, okay? As a quantity. So that's the reason why negative 3 is higher than negative 8, okay? But when it comes to the right side, from 0, of 0, what happens? The larger the number is, the bigger the number is also in quantity. So that's just the opposite, okay? So negative 4 and then negative 10. So what's going to happen between these two? So because those two also are negative numbers, so that means what? Negative 10 is then going to be less than negative 4. So that means negative 4 is greater than negative 10. Are we good? Okay. So let's take D here. So we have 3/4 and then 2/3. Now we have a fraction. So because these two numbers are fractions, the best thing to do a lot of times is change them to decimals. If not, the other way is just to find the lowest common denominator so that you can judge the numerator, as you have them. But in this case, these are pretty simple, so we can definitely get the decimal numbers. So 3/4, we all know 3/4 is what? 0.75. Or it's like you're dividing 3, by 7, okay? By 4, I'm sorry. Divided by 4, okay? So 3 divided by 4. So what's really happening here? So you end up with 0 times, right? So that'll give you 0 here. And then that'll be 7. 7 times 4 is what? 28. You got 2 left. And then you bring down the 0. And 5 times 4 is 20. So that gives you a 0. Okay? So this is, for this one, 0.75. And same thing if you do it 2. Divided by 3. Okay? So what you're getting is that this one also here. So that's 0 times, right? So that'll be 0 times, so that's 20 here. That'll be 6 times 3. It's going to give us what? 18. 2. Another 0. That'll be another 6. And then it just continues. All right? So, or 6.7 if we want to run off. So that's 18. Another 2. So that gives us 0.6666. All right, so you should continue. but this one can just be the same thing as 0.67. Okay? And those two numbers. So basically, those two numbers are the same thing as these. So which one is higher or lower? So 3/4 then is greater than 2/3, as I was saying. Okay, so that means 0.75 is greater than 0.67. Now, when it comes to decimal numbers, okay, we just had it, so that's the negative numbers. So imagine again also very quickly that this didn't have the negative signs. So 3.50 would definitely be lower than 3.51. So if you have $3.50, it's less than $3.51. However, in these cases, we're dealing with negatives for both of them. So like we said before, like in these cases here, like that case here, so that would be the same thing. So 350 would be what? It's then going to be greater than negative. So negative 350 is greater than negative 351. All right? You guys getting there? Okay. So now when it comes to F, negative 3.69 comparing to negative 3.70. All right. So the same thing is going to happen here. So again, if these were, so if you're getting confused, just take off the negative signs and see. Okay. So because if you take negative signs, this one is less than. All right. All right. So, but once we go back, this is also greater than. So negative 3.69 is greater than negative 3.70. Again, because of the negative signs, the higher the number, the larger the number is, the smaller it becomes in quantity. But when it comes to negative, so this is it. So this is the negative, the less than, greater than symbols. How we can insert them into two numbers. See how we're comparing two numbers. So it's all about comparing two things. Okay? So it's comparing two things, and that's all we have. Right? Thank you.